Alright, I already missed half an hour episodes. What's up everybody? I'm Chris and I'm reviewing every episode of The Office ever. And today we are reviewing Dunder Mifflin Infinity.
You should call it Dunder Mifflin Infinity. You know, push the words together.
Noted. In these field guides, I like to look at the good, the bad, the ugly, and the deeper meanings. So we're gonna look at how bad things happen to good people.
Inspirational.
Nah, I'm just kidding. We're gonna be talking about
I drove my car into a lake.
Dunder Mifflinity is the second episode of the fourth season, written by Michael Schur and directed by Craig Zisk. Craig Zisk. Sounds familiar, but it's also not. So he's a career TV director, 95 credits since the 90s, including some great ones like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Parks. Oh, and look, The Tick.
Spoon!
I love The Tick. Oh, not that Tick. I totally forgot that Putty from Seinfeld had a brief 9-episode stint in 2001. Just watching that promo gave me some serious 2000 vibes. Something about the camera angles during that time are just repulsive to me. Anyway, I'm glad to see that Zisk's career wasn't flushed by that fire. This episode first aired on October 4th, 2007, was viewed by 8.5 million people, and has an 8.3 rating on IMDb. And so your trivia for this episode is, what kind of car does Michael drive into the lake? And don't forget to keep an eye out for Bloody Nipple Andy somewhere in this video. He's a tricky little guy, so keep a close eye out. Be the first to put the trivia or the timestamp of the Easter egg in the comments to get your name in next week's video. And with that, let's roll this one out.
I understand nothing.
Okay, so as a web developer turned designer, turned analyst, turned marketer, turned now just user, I love this arc. There's been plenty of hints along the way that Dunder Mifflin is flailing in the digital age.
It's those online paper jerks. The whole business is changing. You know what? They're gonna be screwed once this whole internet fad is over.
On top of being a web guy, I'm also a car driver. So I love this sequence of Michael driving his car into the lake. I'm sure there's some regulations about what you can and cannot do from an environmental perspective, but probably also a screen actor's perspective. So I'm sure they use some trickery here. Having watched this so many times now, I can't for the life of me actually figure out what they did to pull off this shot. They must have cleaned out the engine compartment because you can't have oil leaking into a lake. They must have still had functioning brakes to be able to pull off this part. Maybe the car shifted into neutral and they have a crew behind them pushing, and maybe some ropes tied off to something heavy to prevent the car from going too deep. A lot of people say that this is one of the most unbelievable things that Michael Scott ever did. At least it shows up on top 10 list, and I don't disagree. His motives and logic chain here is suspect. But I think what the most unbelievable part of this episode is that it seems like the camera guy just wasn't planning on escaping. Was he gonna go down with the ship? And what's this pad? When the camera turns back around, there's some sort of flotation device that's made to look like the backseat bench, but it's up way too high. Okay, but scratch that. Just getting the glimpse here, the most unbelievable thing about this episode is that Michael could fit 7 of those gift baskets in the backseat of this. Okay, and even scratch that. They just showed us what Lake Scranton looked like a couple weeks ago. Lake Scranton looks like this in real life. They showed us this dam reservoir in the desert during beach games. And now we have this nice little neighborhood lake. But I digress. As much as I love this scene, I think it had me, probably a lot of you, and even the critics scratching our heads. This is one of those episodes where the writing just doesn't quite add up. Everything I talked about in the last episode about Michael's place in life, it's still true. He's presumably not made any life changes. Did you guys know his salad dressing here is self-branded? It's a callback to a deleted scene from Fun Run.
I have been compared to a young Paul Newman, my eyes and my face. And I make my own salad dressing. I mix Newman's Ranch with Newman's Italian. Sell it at flea markets for a slight loss.
Anyway, Michael's still delusional.
Enough, okay? This is inappropriate and it stops right now.
And I miss you, man, and I love you. His words.
But in this episode, he exhibits poise, wisdom, and overall common sense. Michael drives his car into a lake because the writers wanted him to, and episodes that exist for one major bit often lead to a subpar episode, especially when that episode's an hour long and that bit occurs at the end. I'll get back to that more in the ratings, but for now, let's talk about some little stuff I noticed in this episode. Watch Ryan during this season. His costume design is indicative of his mental state. BJ Novak said he wanted him to be wearing dark clothes because he wanted to reflect the darkness of his character.
Stop that!
And I love Kevin, it's no surprise. Season 4 has some highlights for the big guy. But him nudging Oscar when Jim and Pam are outed, it's one of those subtle moments that I just love. And these blackberries look comically small in these characters' hands, but I wonder how stupid we're gonna look in 15 years with our iPhones and whatever Android crap there is. Michael's surprise of bringing in Robert Dunder was awesome. Played by the voice actor of the narrator of all of the sequels of the Land Before Time movies, all 12 of them. Oh look, he's also in an episode of Dallas.
And that is Dallas.
Man, what did we do before IMDb? I guess at some point we should talk about whether deleted content should be treated as canon or not. I'd say it's not, but it does help give us some understanding by giving us some context to things. Like if you've ever wondered why Angela does this.
And I wanted to know if you would have dinner with me tonight.
It's because Pam gave her this advice.
Why don't you guys go out to dinner tonight and talk about whatever you always talk about?
But there is some great deleted scenes in this one. I'll leave the link in the description. And because I feel like if I don't call this out, I'm gonna get blasted in the comments, Creed.
You're over 75 years old?
82 November 1st. I'm 30. Well, in November I'll be 30.
Presumably stole the printer ink and dyed his hair. A lot of people didn't catch this for years, me included, but it's sealed in right here.
I was going to put up some new pictures, but all of the ink in the printer was gone.
Oh.
I did a little research and surprisingly, there's a lot of people asking if it's possible to dye your hair with printer ink. My favorite response was, yes, you can, but don't. Printer ink is made for printers, not hair. The more I analyze the series, the more I wonder if Creed doesn't have something seriously wrong with him.
You deal with this, or you, me, Sammy, Phyllis, the chick you hit with a car, we're goners. On this side of the room, Stanley, Phyllis, Jim, Ted, Elroy. And on this side of the room, Pam, Meredith, Phyllis, Creed. So there I am, minding my own business, and Darnell offers me $3. All I gotta do is walk by Andy and go like this. Darnell's a chump.
Okay, it sounds risky.
Have I ever steered you wrong, Jim?
Jim has got it bad for Pam.
Oh, which one is Pam? Andrea's the office bitch. You'll get used to her. Creed.
I really want to come out!
Good night, Mary Beth.
Creed is sick of looking at the redhead all day and wants a seat facing the receptionist. Just maybe a part of my future.
Wow.
She's one sassy black lady.
Staying alive,
Okay. Yes,
staying alive.
You were in the parking lot earlier. That's how I know you.
It's not Eddie. It's Evan. Or
Hank. His name is Hank.
Oh, guys, his name's not Hank. It's
Okay, with that, let's dive into the deeper meaning.
What does a bean mean?
Someone please explain it to Cap.
All right, this is the fun part to talk about with this episode. Last year, I watched this movie with Kylo Ren and Black Widow called Marriage Story. It's a story about the end of a marriage that starts with civility and increases the intensity and chaos throughout it. The film leads to an incredible performance in which an extremely stressed Adam Driver has this huge emotional outburst of anger and sadness and loneliness and fear and anxiety. In Dunder Mifflinity, we get this.
Come on, guys, get out of here.
Where are the turtles? Where are they?
I think this episode uses the surface story of Michael's fear of the company changing as a parallel to the different stages of change in these relationships. Ryan and Kelly have been broken up for a while now, and you think maybe Kelly might have grown up, but that's quickly dashed,
Oh, is Ryan coming back today?
and then crazily dashed,
Well, I hope you're still committed because I'm pregnant.
and then you think maybe Ryan's matured.
Good,
A lot. Black eyes mostly.
Kelly.
But it doesn't take him long to conjure a lie to paint him in a good light.
6 months ago, Karen Filippelli sent me an email, asked me out. I said no because I was committed to our relationship. She might mention an email that I wrote a while back.
oh right, I remember that one. She read it to me.
Dwight and Angela have a weird relationship. It's been like that since the get-go. They're both seeming to have a difficult time with this change in their relationship, though. Dwight wants her to get over it, and Angela is stuck, frozen in a particular moment in time. He's resolute to try to change it by somehow wrapping a victory in the sales field with winning Angela back. Once it becomes obvious that this isn't gonna work, we get this really sad moment.
That's not gonna change his mind. He's moving on. We had our chance and we killed it.
Like I said, this is a really dark season. But sweet and adorable Jim and Pam seems to be doing fine with the change in their relationship, even with everything that comes with that.
I couldn't see your hands. Hey Pam, you can't base who gets new clients on who you're sleeping with that week.
This is so out of character for Phyllis, yet oddly in character for her. I don't know, I don't get Phyllis sometimes.
I don't trust you, Phyllis.
But the last relationship arc we have to look at is the one that maybe is most impacted here, and that is Michael and Ryan. And the deleted scenes really fill this out. We get a ton of content that's cut, like Michael laboring over Ryan and their relationship. As these 2 in-episode days progress, we see Michael's behavior follow Adam Driver's as Michael becomes a more erratic driver.
Pun.
Change is a difficult thing for humans to comprehend. We work off patterns and stability. Like, you know how I'm always gonna have one of these episodes ready for you on Thursday around my lunchtime? Or how you know that Froyo is gonna suck.
I don't want garbage. I want sprinkles.
Okay, I labored over how to tell that joke, and that's the best I could come up with, so you could submit all complaints directly to the comment department. Okay, sorry, let's get back to being deep.
That's what she said.
Did you plan that?
No.
See, there you go. That's a pattern. We find comfort in patterns, and we look for them in everything. Music is a system of patterns that our brains connect with. We make patterns out of chaos too, like the clouds, stars, Creed Bratton. Relationships are inevitably going to fall into a predictable pattern, sometimes for better or worse. When that pattern is broken, we can feel like we've lost a part of ourselves, and they can be difficult to go on. But everything changes. Even with the A-plot of this episode, we get this line.
In 1949. Wow. Back then it was an industrial supplier of metal brackets, mostly.
Meaning that even Dunder Mifflin used to not sell paper. That completely undercuts Michael's entire argument, and it goes right over his head.
Technically, he's right.
Hey, shut up, Toby. Look.
So what's the message here? Well, I guess in spite of Michael's funny but weird final statement,
and computers are about trying to murder you in a lake.
He's not wrong about this.
In the end, life and business are about human connections.
I think the idea here is that people can be our constant through the ever-changing variables of life and relationships.
Is that all you have to say?
Or I don't know, maybe this whole episode exists as a commercial for car rental insurance.
That is what's most important.
Did you get the rental insurance? Because that is pretty important too at a time like this.
It's a good joke, but check with your insurance company when you rent a car. Most of the time you don't actually need that extra insurance. That's my PSA for you today. Don't ever sue me for that. It's bad. I don't know if it's good or bad advice. Let's dish out some Dundies.
And then I gotta get him to the Dundies.
All right, the passive-aggressive Dundie goes to Ryan and Jan.
Same office, same responsibilities.
Different salary. You'll get there.
Scranton suits you.
Best decision I ever made.
You were let go.
You know what? Love the beard. Keep it forever.
I think Scranton suits you might be the most harsh thing that Ryan ever says to a human in this show. Sorry, Scranton. And the corporate cynicism Dundie goes to Dunder Mifflinity. In this episode, we have Ryan touting a new website to cure everything. I can't tell you how many of these meetings I've sat through. It's always the same, but I think the real winner here is that Wallace
outsourced customer service to India, which a lot of companies... Yes, Kelly is Indian. I understand that's confusing.
It is, I guess, an idiot too. Everyone's an idiot. And with everything the writers were dealing with from NBC at the time, I'm not surprised that they took as many shots as they could at the ineptitude of corporation. But with that, let's rate this thing.
This is the worst.
All right, this cold opening is all over the place and long. It's just under 3 minutes, but there is some greatness here with Michael squaring up to Toby, Michael's line about his heart.
My heart soars with the eagle's nest.
And Dwight's reaction to the news.
I don't see it. I think they both could do better.
Overall, I give this one a 3 out of 5. It's not bad, but there's not a ton to write about here. As for the episode itself, We'll get into the train wreck that is NBC's relationship with its writers during the season wrap-up, but this is one of the first signs of the issue. Considering the original season was going to be something like 25 episodes, they consolidated all of those story arcs into 13 episodes, depending on how you count them. Mini story arcs were just turned into a single hour-long episode. Point being that this episode's story is kind of a mess. Along with what I said during the deeper meaning, we have a lot of other topics in here just shoehorned in, like Jim and Ryan.
I guess he can't get any girl he wants.
It always feels like Michael bringing in Dunder was just shoehorned in, and the real comedic element was lost somehow in that whole thing. I think this could have been the climax of a particular episode. And Michael doesn't make a ton of sense in this. It's not consistent. He's smart, then he's dumb. He's delusional, and then competent. And then he drives his car into a lake. I think this episode suffers because of the audacity from the stunt and to everything going on behind the scenes at NBC. I know it seemed like I may have had the deeper meaning down packed, but to be honest with you, I had to rethink that section 4 times, leading me to an existential crisis of my own, one that I couldn't afford to put as much money into. So you're sure this bit's worth it? Yeah, I guess, I couldn't even afford the paint job on the PT. No, I get it. Yeah, no, I'll do it.
I think it knows where it is going. The machine knows! Stop yelling at me! No, stop yelling! Here! Remain calm.
Far and away the most expensive shot of the movie, but it was integral to the story.
Anyway, I give this one a 3 out of 5. There's enough good in this one that I'm never upset when it comes on, but it is problematic. Oh, and Dwight's grandfather's a Nazi, a much needed storytelling element in our series. Thanks, season 4. But that's just what I think about Dunder Mifflinity. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Some people love this episode, so I'm sorry if I just crapped all over it. If someone wants to fact check me in the comments about the insurance thing, feel free. Best comment, most informative, will get pinned on this video. Next week, we're gonna be looking at Launch Party.
Oh, Launch Party.
It's supposed to say launch.
Okay, wow, easy booster seat. Nobody cares about this party anyway.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.